Hey, what's up, guys? Sam here, kicking off the 9:30 for November 12th, 25. Good to see you. Hope you're having an ON kind of day. Surely you guys are max long ON, right? Surely. Okay, well, the Bulls are doing what they need to do. It may not seem that way. Let's see if we can come to a common conclusion on this. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Tomorrow's limit down. But here's what I'm saying. Let's walk through it. So, what's been the biggest problem in the market? Has it been the Mag 7? What's been the biggest problem in the market? Don't be shy. I do not bite. At least not for cheap. There we go. 3 answers all at once, all correct. 4th answer says Congress. We'll count that one as correct as well. So yeah, it's been breadth, right? It's been market participation. It's been that it's all Google and Nvidia and those guys, and the rest of the guys and gals don't really play ball. So they're trying to fix that today. How do I know? Well, because I looked at the IWM and I compared it to the Mag 7. So let's do this. Now you should be aware this is the spot that it needs to hold. If it drops, it probably falls another 8 to 10 points on the ES. But ideally, this is the spot that holds. So we got the mags down 1.1% as a basket. So I'm going to make sure that you have this. Make sure you save that because it will inform you. And be aware of how it all works, right? So now what you don't want to see is exactly what we're seeing right now, which is this guy jumping off a cliff. Because although the value is positive on the advanced decline, you cannot have an advanced decline pulling down with the mags pulling down. There's no way to go higher on the indexes when that's the case. Also, the VIX here is trying to get itself a little arrow buoy, and we have the low tick of the day. So a little bit suboptimal. I did buy a bunch of bonds here before I came on the mic. The 91s on TLT for next week. I bought those as a play on the cool CPI tomorrow. They seem to be working as a hedge at the moment, I suppose. So you can't have this and this, right? You need to have one or the other. And if you're really bullish, ideally both. So what you want to see if you're bullish is for this to stabilize and go up, and for this to either trade sideways or ideally up as well. If this is going to go down, Mag 7 index, then this needs to go up. If this is going to go down, the breadth via the advanced decline, then this needs to go up. Simple game, right? So let's do this. Let us do this. For those of you in the crowd trade, don't look at your P&L on that. It's not giving you accurate values. There's no way that we're down on that trade. It's a multi-leg trade and a very volatile stock with a huge expected move. So your P&L is going to be all over the place, but I can promise you that it is positive. We bought it at 448. It's trading 554. And it's a theta positive trade, so there's literally no way it's not positive. There's literally no way it's down. It'll correct itself by the end of the day, but so we got this guy here, the IWM, and this is really where the repairs need to occur. And my case to you is that there's one level that you should know, which is going to be 246 on IWM, and you need to get a couple of daily closes above that. See how the squeeze here is already starting to round out? So this actually has the potential to become a very strong squeeze, and I actually think that if there's a play into tomorrow on the cold CPI, maybe it is bonds. That's how I'm choosing to play it, although I may regret that. But usually the better play is actually IWM. So do I like this chart? Yeah, not really. I mean, it doesn't really. If I were to run a scan, it wouldn't pop up on the scan. So therefore, I don't really like it. But I think I see what they're doing here. And if nothing else, you see how the squeeze has gone negative and is now turning back to positive. Very similar back here, right? You had a big squeeze, it went negative, slingshot it out, bada bing, bada boom. So I think there's a play here in IWM. And as I yap, I might as well take it. So it's going to have to be weekly, maybe even daily. So let me see. Tomorrow is tomorrow CPI. Can somebody confirm tomorrow's CPI? And will we even get a number? I guess the government's semi-open. Okay, so why don't I be a good boy and give it actually 2 days instead of one? And I'll buy some of the. I have to be a little bit degen on this one because I have an idea. So I'm going to buy some 247 calls on IWM for the 14th. This is for Friday, I guess. Is this for Friday? This is for Friday. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to buy the 247s on IWM for Friday. 247s for Friday. I know this is out of the money. This is completely a play on a big squeeze tomorrow. And obviously you have to risk the entire enchilada. So I'm not going to post that one because it's a little bit too gambly. Is that a word? Risky, perhaps? I don't know if it's risky. It's risky in terms of just how much I put in. So they can't take more than I put in. So that's going to be a play on this. It's the 247s again. You don't have to be that degen. You can go in the money. You can go give it more time. You can completely avoid this idea too, right? That is also a thing. So that's going to be my quick play on this. And again, my bet is that the Bulls have to fix this, and they have to fix it here. The level that they have to hold it above is 246. If they start to get closes above 246, then all of the junky, crappy, raccoonish type stocks will start playing ball again. So that's kind of the idea. So here's kind of the funny thing about all of this. IWM green, NASDAQ red. What have we been seeing? We've been seeing the NASDAQ green and the IWM almost consistently and religiously red. So what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that Wall Street is very cute. It tells me that Wall Street is probably long big tech and probably short IWM. Now we'll see if tomorrow can bring a big old breath push, which is needed. But that's kind of my read on things. So just be a bit understanding around that concept. That this seems more mechanical than anything else. Meaning that hopefully that makes sense, right? Like if I'm long big tech and I'm a cute hedge fund who's oh look, it went right down to the red line. How perfect. That should be the low. I hate to ever say that, but that should be the low. That should be the low of the day. Famous last words. Let me put my moolah where my mouth is here. So how can I play this in a way that's not ridiculous? The thing is, that's the right pattern. That's the right volume profile. That's the right level for the low. I just don't have a turn even on a 5-minute. So I'm going to set something up, but I probably won't execute it quite just yet. So you have the 24 point expected move. We're trading 47. That puts you into the 70 range. I'm going to undershoot that and break a wing. So I'm going to do 50, 60, 65. See how much that goes for. It goes for 3. That's really undershooting the expected move. It's going for 3. If it blasts, I make 5. It's not quite the right risk reward. What if I do 60, 70, 75? That's 215. So that is the right risk to reward. Kind of a tough spot, actually, because from a strategy perspective, I like this one. 60, 70, 75. Get it for under 2. But I think that instead of doing a butterfly so early in the day, it actually makes more sense to wait for a turn signal on the 5-minute and then just buy the futures. Or get long in some capacity the index. You can do SPX put credit spreads, things like that. So let's kind of keep watching this for a second. I think this is the low of the day. It would be much easier to confirm if I can get a turn signal here on my 5, because I don't necessarily want to make the calls that it's the low of the day when you're still an active bear slingshot, which happened here. Here, you can see the bear slingshot, how powerful that can be. So let's come back to that idea for now. I suppose if that is the low of the day, it'll benefit the IWM that I just bought. We got some open trades together. Let's just run through them. Yesterday's my day off the mic, and I'm spamming you with ideas nuevas. Ideas nuevas. So IWM, excuse me, IWM, IBM. Let's take a look at this one. I'm being very redundant, but that's a good thing, because that means you have the setup that you're looking for. So I'm going to show you the setups that I'm looking for. And for those of you with the indicators, just pay a little extra close attention, especially to the one that's next. Not this one necessarily, because this one's just pretty straightforward, but pay attention to the one that's next after this. So we have IBM here. We got the butterflies for 320 basically. So we're trading there now. We still have positive delta on this trade, and we definitely have positive theta. The structure of the trade is not necessarily going to blow your hair back with this move, right? Like, this is probably a better move for having something more like straight up calls. This is just a pretty strong move. But as long as we have positive theta, positive delta, then I'm not going to change anything. So the trade still has positive delta, and we don't want it to go much higher though, right? We kind of want it to just mess around right here. But in terms of the setup, you see how the candles here were dark green, and you got into the cloud with dark green candles with the squeeze, and you had arrows from all the way back here. See all this? That's just that. I hate to use the word easy, but it's as clear as a setup can get based on the indicator, right? There's really not a lot of. You see that moment in time? Can I get a 1 in the chat if you see this moment in time? We got Taylor helping out the boys. I appreciate it, Taylor. Get the ball rolling for me, man. All right, so that's it. So nothing there really to see there on it. We just let it chill. Ideally, it does nothing, and we all live happily ever after at 320. Next up, we have some snow, the snowball. So again, tech is down, and this one is trying to do its best. But this, if you have the indicator, I want you to pay attention to this one a little bit more than the last one, although they're extremely similar. So we got snow here. So what's the difference between this one and the one we just looked at? Anyone care to take a guess? The answer is found on this side of the map. I'll just give you the answer so you can move along. You got bull slingshot, right? So in this case, I just showed you the moment in time on IBM, and it's the exact same thing here on snow, except on this one, you have a little bit more explosivity in the form of the bull slingshot. So I actually thought about giving the bull slingshot an additional 5 points, which would actually put it above 100. Right now, you see how it's at 100% here. I actually considered giving it additional 5 points, and I guess in this case, this would be 105%, but I just thought that was silly. So I didn't do that, but just mentally be aware. If you want a clean signal using my indicators, the cleanest the cleanest, most explosive signal possible, that is it. That combination with that. So we'll see what Mr. Snow here can do. The signal hasn't fired yet, and it's a bad market, and it's trying its best. So that's all we can ask from Snow. What else do we have? We got crowd. So with crowd here, we got the butterflies. We just want this thing to just kind of chill. It doesn't matter if it goes up too much, as long as it doesn't fall. Even if it were to close here, we'd have a banger of a trade. We're in at less than 3. If it were to close exactly here, we'd get out at 6. So again, just more kind of lording over theta here, which is what I want. Wow, look at TLT. That's what I want to be doing. So there's really not much there to see on crowd. And then lastly, we have TS to the M. And on this one, we definitely need a little bit more spice. So we'll see what this one can do. It's caught bull slingshot on the 4-hour. It's got bull slingshot on the 4-hour, but the daily has been damaged. So I have to hold this one through tomorrow because I'm bullish on the potential for a cold CPI, et cetera, et cetera. So I cannot exit this one quite just yet. So I think that's everything. We got TSM. We got crowd. We got IBM. And we got Snow. All right, well, that's everything we got. I've been wanting to buy Tesla with you, and I actually found the perfect trade to do so. But Sam, what does that mean? You've left me in suspense. How could it possibly be a perfect trade? Well, here it is. I was looking around the chain yesterday, and I noticed this, and this is on the December 5th series for Tesla. And notice that this random ass large open interest there at the 480 strike on a weekly expiration. Isn't that weird? I bet if you went to the monthly, very few strikes would have this much open interest. This is the weekly. So just look around, right? You have like 400 here, 600 here, 200 here, 600 here, and then 41,000 there. So what's the perfect trade on Mr. Tesla here? Well, the way it's trading, the perfect trade might be to not mess with it. But the perfect trade here that I priced out is actually using this high open interest center strike 480 and then making a butterfly around it that's broken wing. 30 on this end, 20 on this end. You can get it for 5. It's going for 460 something right now. And this is a trade I want to do with you. And I want to do it in a way where I'm going to be scaling into this almost daily, all the way up to probably 7. I wouldn't want to pay more than 7 for this, trading 460 at the moment. So here's my dilemma. I think this is the perfect trade. However, Tesla is in the naughty part of the map here. Right? It's like there's just nothing good here on the 4-hour. So I can't even start buying the thing with you because I don't have a signal for it. So then we look at the hourly. Tech very heavy here. If they don't save it pretty soon, they're going to start getting some negative crossovers, and it's going to take more effort future to save it. But and even IWM goes red, which is like saying that water is wet. So you see here on Tesla, even on an hourly time frame, I can't buy that. So I think I have the perfect trade for you, but I can't click the button because I don't have a signal to do so. So that's fine. Guess what we do? We just wait. We just wait. That's cool. We just wait. The only thing that makes it not a perfect trade, in my opinion, and actually going back to this, if I were to do this trade with you, I would actually make it wider. So I'd actually do the 40 instead of the 50. It ended up paying more, but I priced this out. Let me see what it's going for. If I were to do the 40, 80, 500, so 40 on one and 20 on the other, it's going for 8. So my break even is 448 by December. I think that's very reasonable. So good idea, but this just ain't the time to do it. So just wanted to present that to you because I think it's interesting, and go through it and look at this yourself and see if you can make sense of that. It's not at the 500 strike. It's not at the 450 strike. Somebody thinks 480 by December 5th. Isn't that weird? It must be Henry. Henry and Taylor have combined their powers to become an institution. Okay, so back to this. I thought that was the low, and so far at least the ES has not made a new low. But you can see why I don't necessarily like buying it without a turn signal, because I would still be waiting for one. And if I were to bought it here, I'd be slightly down on my trade. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch the 5-minute for the rest of the day. And if I get a turn signal on the 5, I'm just going to buy the futures. If you're not super down with futures, you could always do micros. You could always do SPY. You can do XSP. You can do SPX. But the moment I get a turn signal here, I think that sets up a decent buy. And if I don't get the turn signal, then there's nothing to do, which is fine as well. Okay, so let me just make sure I have everything in order here. I did buy some TLT before I came on with you because I'm a very young man who totally doesn't trade bonds. And TLT has a thrust up arrow, which we like, and it has a reversal pattern, which I like. I'm kind of tempted to dump the thing. It's already up 25%, and I bought quite a bit. Why don't I just put a stop on it? That way I don't have to watch it. If there's a cold CPI tomorrow and bonds squeeze up, I think IWM is the biggest beneficiary of it by far. Now, I think everything will benefit, but the biggest beneficiary and the biggest, juiciest peach on the tree is IWM. The ever hateable IWM. Bear with me a second. I'm trying to decide what to do with this stupid trade because I kind of want to just take the money here. I haven't been in for very long, but I don't know that I trust bonds. And if the market catches a bid, I certainly don't trust them. What do we do with you, TLT? Continue to bear with me here. The struggles of live trading. All right, I can always get back in. Yeah, I'm just gonna, if I think there's a bid coming in the index, I probably should just dump those. Okay. All right, we'll see if I revisit that idea. Okay, so I don't know if anyone was reading the chat yesterday, but I told you that I was buying some AMD at the 21. And it's funny I made this comment to the boys, as I am apt to do. Yesterday, this pulled into the 21. Everyone always says they want it at the 21. And then it gets to the 21 and nobody buys it. So let's keep buying some of that. I bought some Intel as well. This one's clearly not doing as well. But I think there might be something setting up here. It's just hard to recommend it. But this one's kind of at the same spot that AMD was at yesterday. So again, everyone wants to pull back to the 21 and then they get it and then they don't want it anymore, which is never going to change. But I think that was the low on Intel. You have the undercut, you have a higher low, you have a lot of support here. You're trying to align your thrust. So I don't have to get that with you because we have TSM together. Otherwise, I would have alerted out AMD, but I did put it in the chat. And that's about it. That's about it. So I'll start going through the chat here. Market's not really doing too much, at least from an index perspective. It's a wee bit sloppy. So if you have any questions, throw it in the chat. Don't have to wait till the end because we're almost there anyways. Who thinks that at the next live event, instead of doing all that presentation stuff, we should all just go to a bar and see how many shots JC can take? Right? Doesn't that sound like fun? Sounds like fun to me. We talk stocks all the time. We don't see JC take 10 Jaeger bombs all that often. All right. Thank you, Lorna. Thank you, Mirza. Good to see you, Mitch, Mortimer, Esther, Odie, Bill, Brian. Good to see you in person, my friend Brian. Neil in the house several ways. Good to see you as well at the live event. Seize the day. Good to see you. Sapphire wants to know who are they? The proverbial who are they question. It doesn't matter who they are. Just there's people that have interest in the market and they have a lot of money. So that's who they are. Mitch continues to say that Sound is a stock that I like, even though I never trade it and have no position. Let's take a look at it. And then we'll run some scans and see if we can find anything decent. But I think this is really more of an index kind of thing. And, it may just be weird today because not so much because of the inflation number tomorrow. I don't think inflation is an issue. If inflation was an issue, I think it would be showing up in, see if you can guess what I'm going to say. Where would inflation be showing up? Dun, 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 dun. It would be showing up probably in oil, but it ain't. It maybe will at some point, but it ain't today. Sound is at a spot where if you like it, this is actually the spot to buy it. See that dash line? That's the anchored VWAP for the year. Somebody asked about this at the live event. They were like, well, how do you view anchored VWAPs compared to EMA? And I was like, well, I think the simplest way to answer that question, at least in my mind, the way I view the anchored VWAP, especially from the beginning of the year, this is the average price paid on Sound since the beginning of the year. And you can see how well that worked back there, right? Consolidated at the anchored VWAP, takes off. I kind of view it as just like a super moving average. So if you think the 21 is important or the 50 or the 200, I view the anchored VWAP as kind of a super moving average. So right there with pretty bombed out momentum is not a terrible spot to start looking at this thing. I'm actually, even though the chart sucks and I don't have a setup here, just from a levels perspective, I'm actually a little bit interested in buying it, but I'll probably be a good boy and just actually look for good setups instead of buying bad setups just because they're at a good price. However, with that said, if you like this company, if you know something I don't know, um, from a longer term perspective, this is a great spot to pick it up. Is that the anchored VWAP? Any dashed magenta line is the anchored VWAP. The dashed white line is just the regular VWAP. The regular VWAP is not anchored. It's just for that day. Am I still holding TSM? Yes. I will alert out any exits on any open trades. So the market here is still deciding what it wants to do. It is looking over the cliff and deciding whether it wants to jump. You forgot how to get the second line on the high-low pro. So I'll show you, but I will preface it by saying I wouldn't suggest you turn it on unless you are an absolute expert with high-low pro. And only you can answer that truthfully. Because I made the thing, I would probably consider myself that. If I'm not an expert with high-low pro, I don't know who would possibly be, right? Considering I made the thing. So in order to get the secondary line on the high-low pro, which is actually kind of a cool thing to see, although I have it off by default on your end, because you don't actually need it. Just as a reminder, when it says aligned like this, you know that the red line is on top of the green line, right? Because the thrust tells you the direction of the last arrow. Aligned tells you whether the red, in this case, is bearishly aligned with the green, which in this case it is. If you want to turn that on, just double click on the indicator because it's off by default. So double click on the indicator. Any minute. Okay, this will pop up this. Right here it says slow DX. Kind of right in the center there. Click there and go to show plot. It seems to be breaking my computer doing this. It does not like this. So that's how you do it. Yeah, this thing broke my computer now. Well, that's fun. I don't know how to fix this. Probably have to restart. See how I can move it, but I can't actually click on anything. Can you guys still hear me? Okay. I wasn't sure if it was an internet thing. Okay, there we go. That was terrible. TLT is 6-7. I don't know what that means. TLT is a loser. I do know what that means. Yeah, no, I sold it. Although the IWM I bought isn't doing me any favors. But that's fine. You want to see JC take shots while he deadlifts? I think he could. I would not doubt the man. Good to see you, Tim. All right, let's take a look at the internals real quick. There's not a whole lot is happening from an index perspective, and I think whatever stocks are moving here. Probably need the index. Did anyone actually pay up yesterday for Amex? Man, my God. I pulled up Amex. I sent out an alert on it at a lower price. It never got filled. But if you want to talk about a perfect setup, Amex was it. I ended up buying a Citi, but I feel like a chump because Amex was a better setup, and or Goldman also was a better setup. They had a massive move. So not to be Capitan hindsight, but just so you can see the setup again. For those of you with the indicator, this should be very, very repetitive. And if you ever see me take trades that are not this setup without some obscene risk to reward, feel free to throw a pie at my face. So real quick here, just so you can see how pretty this is. And again, this was just easy. Like it's just an easy, clean setup. And maybe worth having paid up for. I wanted it a little bit cheaper. I wanted it at the tree line. Never got it. But again, not to be Captain Hindsight, but this was sent out. Honestly, I highlight this and I highlight all this. You don't even need that, folks. The indicator has done it for you. You see how the bars here are all dark green? That means that they're max bull. Max bull inside the context of that is just you have to take that trade. So that's the same trade that we're in with the rest of the stuff that we're in. But the AXP here is just a beautiful, perfect expression of it. New low on the day on ES. Maybe it has to flush out this previous high here, right around 58. But on days like today, like it's important to have a level, certainly. Like I would say my level is between that red line and the white line, which so far is holding. But it's a three-part thing, right? So it's level, momentum, and trigger. So do I have a level here? Yeah, I have a level. Do I have the right momentum? And I don't. So that kind of puts the kibosh on the whole conversation. So what would be the ideal setup here? Well, the ideal setup would be, ignore this. The ideal setup is level, which we're still at. Momentum turn. Give me a little arrow. Ideally aligned upwards. We're not there. And then at that point, you look for a close above the high of the low bar as a trigger. Then at that point, you have a trade, right? Right now, I only have 1 out of 3 parts of a trade, which would be the level. I don't have momentum or trigger. To my infinite sadness. And now IWM is getting beat up as well. Can't have nice things with IWM. Hey, what's up, 007? Good to see you. Low of day. Yeah, I mean, John earlier was talking about how it hasn't really turned until the European close. Being American, I have zero idea what time it is in Europe, but I think it closes in 18 minutes. So we'll see if some of the selling dries up there. Now it's starting to look a little bit different just because earlier IWM was really strong and Mag 7 was weak, and now IWM is weak as well. So if we go to the internals, that probably is going to reflect that. And so far, this is kind of looking like a failed breakout to me on the NQ. If you look at the NQ on the hourly time frame, it needed to get above the hourly 200, and it did so overnight, but now it's puking it all back, which is not great. So see how ES here, it broke above the 200, retest the 200. We were getting long here yesterday for all the new things that I sent out. You get the push, But if you look at NQ didn't do this yesterday. It was below its 200, and now NQ is down here somewhere. So there's going to be a lot of things that need to get fixed here quickly. VIX has a little bit of up pressure, which is fine. You need to blow off some steam there on the VIX. And now the mags are definitely at a point of interest because the magenta line and the green line are the anchored VWAP, which I just showed you how powerful that is, as well as the respective daily 21s for all of the mag 7s as a basket. So very critical spot here. Below here, I don't really have all that much. So I think it goes cliff diving. But I expect for it to hold. Famous last words. The ticks, completely mediocre, advanced decline. Looks a lot like the Russell. So points of interest, but no turns. Most exciting sessions. LHX for a long. So funny you mentioned LHX. My friend who started trading, who doesn't know what an interest rate is, I keep beating him up because what I do is I go, mind you, he doesn't know anything. So he doesn't know what companies are liquid. He doesn't know literally anything. He doesn't know what an interest rate is. So what I have done, and he was doing pretty well even without knowing any of that stuff. I thought that was his superpower. I was like, you have a superpower that I wish I had, which is complete ignorance of anything other than a chart. I'm going to buy a little bit more snow here. Let me see if they'll give it to me at like 250. They're not going to. Okay. Give it to me at 275. They're not going to. I don't want to pay 3. That's what I already paid. All right, 285 final offer. Okay, you win 290. Not much of a discount from our entry anyways. Okay, so you mentioned LHX. So, and then I segued awkwardly into my friend. So the number one thing that I've told my friend, because his graph when he started off and he was just a blissfully ignorant block of wood that had not been carved yet using my indicators. And I just showed him the indicators. He just understood them intuitively. He has a mind for that. Like he has a mind for structures and things like that. And so he started off and he was just trading Amazon and Google. Those were his go-to stocks, and his curve kind of looked like that. It was pretty impressive actually for someone who didn't know what they were doing. And then at some point, I don't know what happened. He ate from the tree of knowledge, I think. And it actually had the inverse effect. And so he gets kicked out of the Garden of Eden, aka positive growth curve. And then it starts trading like this. Right? That's his growth. That's his curve. And I'm like, well, what happened here? And so I've been beating his ass because he's my friend. That's what I do. I'm like, well, what happened here? And what happened was he started looking at all the other things in the world aside from the 2 things that made him money. Right? And he's not good enough to do that. And so he'll send me some nonsense like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's like stocks I've never even heard of. I'm like, how are you even finding these stocks? I don't even know what these stocks are. And so I make a point, and I was like, well, I just sent them this link, and I was like, look, this is the universe. Focus only on the big boxes, right? Up or down, left or right. Focus only on the big boxes. So this awkward story. You asked about LHX. He sent me over LHX earlier today. And so I responded by sending him this link and asking him to find LHX. And he said, good point, because he couldn't find it. So let's look at LHX. That's a very long way of saying trade liquid things. And also stay in your lane, right? And embrace ignorance. I don't want to say embrace ignorance necessarily, but embrace the fact that no one knows anything in this game. And the only thing that you can pilot your craft with is the pretty colors on your screen. So let's take a look. I'm sorry, the charts are loading extreme. It's because I'm dual streaming on like YouTube and other places, and my computer hates that. To be fair, this does look good. And he pointed out the 2-day. I wish I could transition more quickly through charts. It's just my resources are being destroyed by this multi-stream. But let's just bear through the pain of waiting for this to load. And I'm going to go to the 2-day real quick. This might be too painful. Oh God, it's not going to work. You see how it's like, it's giving me performance errors and whatnot. Here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to end the live stream on the socials. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat on the socials, and I'll go back and check on them at some point. I usually do these every Wednesday. We do the live streams on the socials. Right now, my computer's just getting wrecked, and I want to make sure that it's a smooth experience for the folks in the MTT room. So I'm going to try to save some resources and just end the stream on the socials. So I'll catch you guys next Wednesday there. Hopefully you can stop by the main room, check us out. But I'll see you next